Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we are going to study the story of Mother Madalasa, the very epitome of motherhood, the great ideal mother whose inspiration brought about such a revolutionary change in her children, and how they attained the highest spiritual illumination through her impact, her influence. So she is an inspiration for mothers all over the world. She was a queen and a great mother. This story you find in the Markandeya Puran. And the story is actually quite long, but we will only take that portion of Madalasa's life which depicts her great motherhood. She was the queen of Ritadhwaj. Ritadhwaj was a king who had rescued Madalasa from a demon. And when Ritadhwaj married Madalasa, he soon discovered that she was endowed with yogic wisdom, with special divine insight, and she was not an ordinary woman. She was a storehouse of spiritual power, and she was a knower of the truth of Vedanta. So, in course of time, when they had their first child, he was called Vikrant. It was noticed that Madalasa enabled the child to grasp Vedanta right from its babyhood. How did she do it? She would sing lullabies for her little baby, and those lullabies were like this: Shuddhosi, Buddhosi, Niranjanosi, Samsara Maya Parivarjitosi, which means you are the pure one, you are the enlightened one, you are the stainless one, and you are completely unaffected by the Maya of this world. This is your real nature. You are the Atman. This is how she would address the child. The child was named Vikrant, but Madalasa instilled into him a sense of himself as pure consciousness, the identity of the Atman. That is what she gave to him. So Shravan happened naturally to her children right from the cradle, when they were addressed like this: you are verily the pure one, you are the infinite one, you are not merely this limited body and mind. So this impact of Madalasa's singing on the child was such that when the children became mature, as they grew up, they naturally became not only very well versed in the statecraft, in all that a prince should know, but became deeply spiritually inclined. They became men of great values through this spiritual knowledge. And when the time was ripe, the eldest son wanted to give his life in spiritual pursuits, and he became one of the great men of spiritual realization in the land. He became a great rishi, a fully illumined soul. Even to the second and third son, which Madalasa had, she adopted the same thing, and they also grew up to be great men of spiritual realization. Now, when the fourth son was born, Madalasa named him Alur. So Ritadhwaj was taken aback. Alur is not a very good name. It actually means a mad dog. Why she gave it such a name, the baby, is because she wanted them to think beyond name and form. Ritadhwaj intervened in this and said that I will bring up this boy, and he trained the boy in kingly duties. So all the duties that a king should know in statecraft, in military affairs, and gave him a good education, a secular education, and he gradually became a great king. So after Madalasa and Ritadhwaj repaired into the hermitage of sage Dattatreya, they say, for their Vanaprastha life, Alur ruled the kingdom very wisely, very ably for many years, brought a lot of prosperity and good to his kingdom, and yet he was deep within himself. The influence of Madalasa was unmistakable. He yearned for spiritual illumination. So once he had completed his duties as a king, he gave his kingdom into very able hands and moved on to a life of sadhana and he also attained great spiritual illumination, great spiritual heights. They all became rishis of the land. So, who rejoiced the most? Of course, Madalasa. The story only points out to us the importance of a mother. Today's child psychology tells us that the first 7 years of a child's life are really crucial. The influences falling on the child in that period, they are so very important. The child actually imbibes and gets conditioned by those influences, and his value system is created by the age of 7. It functions as a template for whatever he will gather on later in life. And in this period, the first 7 years, the mother's influence on the child is the greatest, isn't it? Because the child is closest to the mother. So this role of motherhood in inspiring the next generation, in actually creating the psychology of the next generation, is so very important, and it has to be recognized. This is a great contribution which a woman can make to a society, to really create a child with noble sanskars, to give him those sanskars right from childhood, as Madalasa did. And then we can be assured of a truly great, valuable next generation. A reckless environment provided to the child will naturally result in a danger for the society, because the child's psychology gets affected accordingly. In the long run, a very reckless, insensitive environment will create a child with very permissive values, will create a child which undermines family values. So this is to be taken care of. In fact, sensitivity, let us remember, is the first sign of sensibility. To give values at this young age, that is why it becomes paramount. All great men have acknowledged this, the role of their mothers in their life. You know, Napoleon Bonaparte, the great conqueror, he himself said, "Give me great mothers and I will give you a great nation." He did not say, "Give me a great army or a great economy and I'll give you a great nation." He said, "Give me great mothers." Everybody knows who are the actual torchbearers of change. Abraham Lincoln, he said, "Whatever I am today and whatever I can hope to be, I owe it all to my angelic mother." Swami Vivekananda said, "Motherhood is the highest ideal of womanhood, and whatever I am, it is due to my mother." So you see, the mother's influence on the child, it is so great that she actually creates the psychology of the child. What are the practical steps we can take in our homes today, which are actually the foundations of our multidimensional personalities? The home is the foundation where a person's emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence actually takes shape. So what are the practical steps we can take into our homes to make this happen, to allow real intelligence to blossom? The first thing is to make sure that the influences falling on the home are positive, sattvic, good, so that the influences falling on the tender mind of the child are always positive. So we can ensure this if we give a safe, protective, sensitive environment to the child. Secondly, introducing him to Vedantic ideas right from childhood, to the glory of his own soul, to the fact that all strength and power lie within him. This is of paramount importance, because he will grow up to depend on himself. He will grow up to be strong from within himself. So this kind of an influence, right from as Madalasa did, right from the cradle, it can start. And thirdly, giving the child great noble role models, because children are born imitators. So providing them with inspiring role models will ensure great character for the child. So this is what we learn from the story of Madalasa. We have such inspiring women everywhere in our literature, in our history. We should be able to draw values from them. With this, I would like to end my talk. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.